Hello, dear Toastmasters, dear guests. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were asked to give a feedback about a thing and you found yourself completely stuck, trying hard to express your opinion gently and sincerely without hurting the feeling of others? Whether you are a team leader, a friend, a father or mother, a teacher, you have surely faced such situations many times. Actually, giving constructive and positive feedback demands some techniques and training. That's why in Toastmasters, we always have in our meetings an evaluation part where members are honing their skills for feedbacks. But sometimes it turns out that this is not enough, and we need a help of an expert to make a jump forward and to master the secrets of a good evaluation. Lucky we are today. The expert is here with us, our dear Kees Broos. Actually, yes, give a warm applause to our dear Kees Broos. He deserves it. Actually, when I have read a small bio about Kees Broos, I felt that he is a special person in many ways. He is a free spirit. He is open to everything. He traveled in over 10 countries? No. 20? No. 30? No. 75 countries. Kees Broos traveled in 75 countries. I told you, he's a free spirit. He lived in 4 countries: Netherlands, New Zealand, Germany, and Spain. He taught physics and mathematics. He then became an expert in dispute resolution. He even gained an expertise in beekeeping. He is now a coach in communication and leadership skills and double DTM. He got twice the most highest prize or the most highest expertise in Toastmasters as a DTM. And the list is so long, so I will stop here. And I urge you to give a warm welcome, a warm applause to our dear Kees Broos.
Yes, Samir, thank you very much for those warm, welcoming words right from the heart. And I'd like to extend the welcome to all the members that are joining us tonight in this session on evaluations, the why, how, and what. Obviously, there is a lot of information that you can dig up on the internet with regard to evaluations. A lot of material. For me tonight, it's not about rehearsing, repeating all that. What I would like to share with you tonight is evaluation from the heart to you with my 21 years of Toastmaster experience behind me. Because this is one of the things which is very important überhaupt in life experience. You may read 30 books about sailing. Does that make you a sailor? No. You need the practical experience. Evaluation is no different. There is a saying, practice makes perfect. And that is so true. If you regularly rehearse evaluating, you will grow and grow and grow as you go. However, it is important to touch on a few aspects of evaluation. One of the things is, and it may have puzzled you in the agenda, warm-up. Warm-up means that you have to warm up. You have to warm up your voice. You cannot keep your mouth shut for half an hour and then think you will sing like a canary. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You have to warm up your voice. And this can be with an exercise, or it can be with a lovely cup of tea. Whatever you prefer. Obviously, with the way we meet these days on the internet, it has become a little bit easier to have that cup of tea, because just switch off your video and sip that tea before you start speaking. That's why you saw my picture a few minutes ago as a still picture. I did not want you to see me sipping my tea, but that's the secret, right? Keep it a secret, please. Evaluations are very, very important. Why? I see you all listening very carefully, because this guy here, you may think, will have all the answers in the world. I may have traveled the world, doesn't mean that I do have all the answers. No, no, no. I may have some tips you may utilize in your future evaluations. So let me start with the audience today. Can I give the floor to any one of you who has a burning question on their mind about evaluation? Anyone? Do I see someone?
Can I speak, please?
Yep, go ahead.
I'm wondering, what are the keys to make a genuine, right evaluation? Apart from the fact that we have to listen very carefully in order to give a good feedback, are there any other keys to master this aspect of Toastmaster Club?
I will touch on those keys very firmly in tonight's workshop. So keep listening, right?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Samir.
Thank you, Kees. Actually, I have a question. When I
Sure.
play the role of an evaluator, I usually struggle with going deep in my analysis of the speech. So my evaluation is usually shallow, not deep. I stay on the surface. So my analysis is not as deep as I want it to be.
Good. Yep. I can understand that. Especially, and this is probably the basic mistake in any evaluation, that we want to go too deep into it at the moment that we deliver the evaluation. There is no place for that. There is no time for that. That particular element, I would say, save that for your backup in the written evaluation. Then you have a little bit more time to go through all your notes and all the things you dotted down, right? And then you can attend to that. Because this is another mistake of a lot of evaluators. They take notes, 1 A4, 2 A4s, 3 A4s, 4 A4s. You only have 3 minutes to do the evaluation, folks. How are you gonna get through 4 pages of A4? You won't. You have to make choices. Because, take it from me, I have not taken count of how many evaluations I've heard in my life. But cram. Oh, and by the way, bam. The evaluation was full and just boiled over and lost its complete composure, interest, and effect. And to that effect, I will have a tool for you tonight. Maybe some of you have seen it before, I don't know, but it was given to me from Toastmasters in New Zealand. And since there is a little bit of water between Morocco and New Zealand, it may be that it not sail the Indian Ocean or cross the Indian Ocean. So see what happens there. Final chance to start with a question for anyone before I get into the more detailed presentation. Yeah, fire away. I think it was Otman. Yeah.
Yes. Aside from the 2-3 minutes, as Samir said, I mean, just like I'm wondering, with your experience, you haven't killed that much of timekeepers just to give a great evaluation. But my question is that any difference in terms of evaluation from, for example, for icebreaker, or you don't want to scare the hell out of the new members so they will hopefully come again, from an experienced one when we want to be more challenging and help them grow even more? This is my question.
I think you pointed out a third mistake, and that is to weigh your evaluation to the level of the speaker. If you evaluate an icebreaker, or you evaluate a 2-hour workshop, so that the experience between the two presenters, the two speakers, is quite big. The way you evaluate should be almost at the same level. And this may surprise you. But why is this? It is because what is the starting point of your evaluation? And with that, I go into sharing my screen and show you the PowerPoint presentation and the slides I have prepared for tonight. It may be that I stop the slides and go to the old-fashioned flip chart, folks. How is that? Wow! So I'm a bit person of the old style, and in that regard, I really have to cope with this medium of Zoom meetings and the likes, and I will talk a little bit about that as well a bit later on. So let me see, share the screen.
You can share it.
Okay. There we go. Everyone on board?
Yes.
Let's take off there.
Yeah.
Evaluation, the why, how, and what. Don't take any notes. Maybe only a note if a question pops up in your mind that you would like to ask at the end of the session, because I'm quite willing to share these slides. So no panic that you have to keep up or think, oh, what was that about? It will be all available to you. I'm a very kind guy, so I share those things without any payment.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? I have noticed that the volume of your voice has been reduced. I don't understand why. I don't know if it's the same for the others.
I'm not speaking any softer or any louder, and I
For
have
me, it's okay. I don't have any problem.
any buttons, so I don't know.
It'll be the same for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
let's see what this is all about. It's bullseye. And this is what evaluation is all about, the bullseye. And there is a man in walking this earth by the name of Simon Sinek, and you may have heard about him. He's very popular. He has a very bright mind, and he came up with the shot which is next to the bullseye. It is the golden circle, the why, how, and what. But the interesting thing about this circle is that the majority of people approach the circle from outside. So they look at the what first, then go to the how, and then they may spend a little bit of time on the why. The crucial thing is to start from the inside out. Always start with the why. If you give an evaluation, the why do you give the evaluation? And this is crucial. And you will see why. The YouTube where he presented this is from 2009, so it's quite a bit back. But you can look at it, and when we share the slides, you can just click on the link and watch it. And it's about 18 minutes. So I've given you the time, so it means that you know how much time you can spend on this, and that you don't need to find out that it's a very, very long time. So the why, how, and what. Why do we do an evaluation? It is to motivate the presenter. I've used the word presenter, not speaker, because sometimes you may have to evaluate a workshop, and you could call that or label that presenter. And it's to improve as a presenter by giving positive and constructive feedback. And this is for me, in my 21 years of evaluating, what I always had on my mind, without knowing the goals of the presenter or the speaker, without knowing nothing, that when I was finished with my evaluation, that person would go home in the old days, would switch off from Zoom in the new days, and start writing on the next project. That is the big aim, that you can package your evaluation in such a kind that person is motivated to go on. And it might have been a presentation or a speech that was totally, bad. Let's call it bad. Your challenge as an evaluator is to turn the bad into good. Keep that person going. Not only that, you as an evaluator will be evaluated as well in a meeting by the general evaluator. So you will receive some feedback as well. In that regard, Toastmasters is a very, very professional, excellent concept. How do we evaluate? Well, I think there are two ways. There's a verbal way and there is a written way. Both are different. If you look at your pathways these days, a lot of the evaluation forms do have a scoring from 1 to 5 on certain elements. I'm not going to repeat those, you've come across them. Only be aware that 5 is the best. And this is sometimes very difficult for Germans, because in Germany, 1 is the best result. So you have to be very careful. Always read your instructions before you start with the written evaluation. No matter what it is, being verbal or written, at the end of your evaluation, next to the motivation, you also should have indicated to the presenter that he or she has reached the goals, the objectives of their project. I have seen, no, not millions, but a lot of evaluations where the evaluator did not even notice or made a remark about the goals or objectives and that they were reached, despite maybe being a very bad presentation. It is up to the evaluator, if it's really, really bad, to say, I'm sorry, but I feel that it's very difficult for me to say to you that you reached your objectives. So I would really look at your speech, look back at it with what I've tried to give you as some food for thought tonight. However, you can never, and I repeat, never make a presenter do the project again. It's done, no matter how. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. So with regard to the evaluation, you can look at this link at Toastmasters. It gives you some feedback information. As I said, there is a lot out there. So up to you to look at that or skip it. Really, you get out of Toastmasters what you put in it. So with regard to the how, the written or the verbal, right? I've already talked about the written evaluation, and here is another link for you to click on it, and it's an example of an evaluation form. So that is up to you to go through it and see what you can get out of that. For tonight's workshop, I would rather look, here's another link, look at the verbal evaluation. Evaluation is a skill. What is the beauty of a skill? The skill of knitting, the skill of carpentry, the skill of beekeeping. What is the beauty of a skill? The beauty is that you can learn it. You can practice, you can learn it. To start off with evaluation and telling yourself, well, evaluation, not for me, I'm sorry, I'm not good at that. No, everyone started as not being good at the thing they probably became very, very perfect in. So we all start almost on the same level. When you deliver the verbal evaluation, use the word I. It is your evaluation. It is not that you talk on behalf of somebody else, or that you even talk on behalf of the audience by saying in your evaluation, we were all listening very attentively. Really? Did you screen on the Zoom link? If everyone was listening very attentively, are you indeed talking for the audience? You never can. So your evaluation is how you did see the presentation. And this is the first sense you're using your evaluation. Looking. Then you listen. So in evaluation, you use your senses of looking and listening. And you apply those. And this sounds funny, but do you know that we all look differently and listen differently, hear things differently? And this again is the beauty of our Toastmasters clubs and organization, because with the members we have in our club, there is a chance that you will be evaluated, say 20 times, by a different person, a person that does see and hear things differently. When you're in an employment situation and you have a boss, you always hear the feedback from the same person, up to a degree where you think, you know what? Take a hike. You don't listen anymore even. But with Toastmasters and the club, you always sit up to receive another evaluation. As you can see on this slide, don't try to cram everything in your 3 minutes of verbal feedback. If there is more, if there is 3.5 more pages of A4 information, talk to the presenter privately and take out things that may be of benefit to the presenter. Also, there might be some things you feel very deeply about, but privately, you can still talk to the presenter, but do not present it publicly in your meeting. Again, there is a link there. It's another TED Talk by Julian Treasure, and he is talking for about 10 minutes. There's a little bit in there for warming up your voice as well. So I just mentioned that to you. And the other thing he's talking about is this acronym, HAIL. What does HAIL stand for? H for honesty. When you do an evaluation, be honest. If something was bad in the speech, tell the presenter, the speaker, but tell it in a way that it still sounds positive. Example, well, that speech of you tonight, you know what, I really don't think that there was any good in it. It was so bad. Really, it was absolutely shocking. Well, if you get 1 or 2 or 3 sentences in that manner, what do you think that will happen to the presenter? Switch off and you will never see him or her back, unless they're made of iron and don't care. But I can tell you, I've seen a lot of members walk away as well by receiving evaluations in that manner. Because some of these things are a little bit cultural sensitive. There are cultures in the world where it's acceptable to talk in that manner, and it's not taken as being offensive. So wherever you are in the world, you always have to be aware of what is the cultural aspect in that country by giving feedback. So that is a thing to remember. The A stands for authenticity. Authenticity is for me that element in Toastmasters. Authenticity is your fingerprint. Your voice is your fingerprint. The way you look is your fingerprint. The way you listen is your fingerprint. There might be people, even listening tonight in the workshop, who say, authenticity? I don't know Authenticity. What does that mean? What happens? It's easily detected. When you're out with a group of friends, you probably are as authentic as you can be. That kind of authenticity you want to take in your evaluation, in your speeches, because it applies there as well. Don't try to copy somebody else. Don't be a monkey by copying somebody else. Be yourself. Be the person you are. And the audience will see that immediately. We have a very strong sense in our inner for authenticity, for honesty, and also for the next one, the eye of integrity. And you mentioned something in your evaluation, and you don't really mean what you are saying, they will pick it up again. Tell what you mean. Don't try to beat around the bush, as we say in English. Don't try to make up stories. Say what you have to say in clear words. And then the L, which may surprise you, love. What does Justin mean with it? He means show that you care about the presenter, that you are really looking forward to that next presentation, and that you so intensely hope that they will do a little bit better, because we are all in Toastmasters to grow, to get a bit better at things. And it took me 21 years to be where I am today. Doesn't mean to say that you all need 21 years. So be okay with that. Some people learn a little bit faster than others, but it takes time. And coming from the Netherlands, we do know that things do take time, like cheese. To have a good cheese, it takes time. To become a good Toastmaster, it takes time and love and care. So take that with you in your evaluation. And as you have may noticed up to now in the workshop, I have not said anything about you have to do it this way, that way. Because evaluation is about you. Who are you as a person? Can you behave honestly, authentical, deliver with integrity, and share the love for your evaluation? When you deliver your evaluation, be aware of the 7:38:55 rule. Anyone in the audience tonight who does know what that means? Raise your hand. I only see a few people on my screen, so I don't know if there's anyone who does raise his or her hand. Yeah, I can see one hand. I think it's Asma. Yes? You're muted, I think. I do make the same mistake, so. Sama?
Oh, yes, it's a rule about that explain Albert Mehardin that there's just 7% of power of words, and 38% for voice, and 55% for body language. So body language is the most important of them.
You can take over the workshop. Very well done. So, right on the dot, it was a Dr. Albert Mehrabian who coined this phrase. And indeed, we may think that words are important when we deliver an evaluation. They only count for 7% of the impact. Let me label it that way. Then the way you deliver your evaluation, your voice, if you go a bit faster and pause or slow down in your evaluation to emphasize something you think is very important, that has an impact of 38%. And other than that, and it is the body language. Do you smile with your eyes? Especially in the time when we had a mouth mask and we could only see the eyes. Do you have the ability to do that? We are wired to pick up on body language. So be aware of that when you do an evaluation. That the words you speak, the 4 A4s of information you got out of the notes, that a lot of that may be able to be condensed. And here's my tool for you on how to go about evaluations. What you usually should do have a piece of paper, and some of you may be so hot with the keys on the computer that they can even do it on the screen. I can tell you, I cannot do that. So I usually just use a piece of paper. And as we know, constructive, positive feedback comes with commendations, the things you really like in a speech. But if you're stuck with only, I like this, I like that, will the presenter grow? No. He or she may be motivated to go on because what all you do is specify a need that they feel good about themselves. But what you want them to do is grow a little bit as well. And therefore you may have recommendations. What I've seen in quite a few evaluations is that the commendations, recommendations are all over the place. There is one possibility to make it a little bit more edible, and that is to sandwich things. If you have a recommendation and you sandwich that between 2 positive things, the recommendation is softened. It doesn't hit so much as when you give an evaluation, you start with all the good things, and then your next sentence is, by the way, I also do have a couple of things you may want to consider thinking about in your next speech, and that are dang, 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 dang. And with the dang, 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 the speaker only becomes less motivated, because it's like throwing a bucket of cold water right in the face of that particular person. As we know, every speech has an opening, a body, and a closing. What do? You listen to the speech and you start to just make notes. Just make notes. Things that you really like in the speech, things that you think they can improve on. You just keep taking notes for each segment of the speech or the presentation. And here is then the next step, which I will do on the flip chart. Okay, can everyone see the flip chart? Right? So this is my A4 with the notes I've taken. What you're going to do now is go through your notes. And doesn't matter if you want to start with the recommendations first or the commendation, it doesn't matter. Let's say I start with the commendation. What you look for is the thing you liked, but liked least. What I mean? So the thing you liked, but it's okay, right? So that could be, for instance, a note there, and you label that C1. Then you go through your commendation, and doesn't matter. You don't have to go from opening body to closing. You can just go through your list of commendations. You go to the next one, which you really liked, and you may go for C2 in that note, C3 in this note, and maybe a C4 in that note. Right? So you've got 4 commendations you really liked. In the recommendations, you do exactly the same. So you say, oh, this would be a recommendation, sorry, which is okay, but you know, there's probably a better recommendation. And that better recommendation might be here. So on your A4, you end up with 4 notes that you will commend to the speaker and 2 notes that you will recommend. And this is then the thing what you're going to do in your presentation. You start your evaluation with the first commendation. You move in the second one. Then you go in the first recommendation. You move in the third commendation. You take in the biggest recommendation you can fit in your evaluation, and you finish with the best commendation you can come up with. Do you remember the letter L, love? That is showing your love. It is what we call the king hit, because that will resonate. Because obviously the whole audience has been listening, and everyone has been listening in a way that they thought, that was really good. And when you pick up on that as well, you're the flavor of the month. When you don't pick up on that, you are still the flavor of the month, because it's your evaluation, not from somebody else in the audience, or you don't have to think, yeah, but what I'm saying here, will the audience think the same? Forget about it. And then always in your evaluation, do a summary. So in maybe even 1 or 2 words, go through this list. And what have you then achieved in your evaluation? You started low, you grew a bit, you had a recommendation, you grew really, another recommendation, and there you had your C4, which you should have done in green. But do you get the drift what I'm trying to get at? It's like in a piece of music. In a piece of music, it starts slowly, and it builds up, it builds up, it builds up, until the whole orchestra comes in. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And that is your evaluation. That's where you want to end up with your audience, because the evaluation is for the audience and for the speaker. And that could become a tool for you to do better evaluations. And what you have missed in my workshop so far is that I've told you, oh, you have to say this, you have to say that. I cannot do that. And you should know by now why. Because evaluation was linked with authenticity. And I don't know your authenticity. You only know that yourself. So in that, I hope that this is a tool you may use, you may try it out, but it's something that may help you. Going back to the start of the workshop, I said, look at the goal of the speech for the presenter. Now we go to an evaluation contest. There is no goal, there is no objective, is there? And that's the beauty of the contest. Because all you do as an evaluator, you pick something that you want to specifically look at. And that picking could come out of this list, right? The one thing you don't have to worry about then is that you have to say to the speaker, I think you achieved your goal with what you delivered tonight. Well done. And I'm really looking forward to your next project. You don't do that in the contest. I'm sorry. So if I can go back to my PowerPoint. So is that a bit clear to everyone, this tool, how that would function, how that would work, how it could function, you know, because maybe you come up with maybe you, oh, I know, not maybe, you are all geniuses. So it could be something that works for you. Can we see this link? You all have a smartphone, don't you? So maybe there's a QR scanner on your smartphone, and maybe you can scan the QR code, because before you do that, so hold on your horses, don't start pushing buttons yet. There is a speech in that YouTube element. It is actually a table topic speech. And I changed the title to a life lesson I did learn the hard way. So it's only a speech of 2.5 minutes, right? Because I want you to do a little bit of a practical exercise with this thing here. And see if you can pick up commendations, recommendations, and I would say listening, preparing, I would give you about, 19, say 4 or 5 minutes. And then I'll come back to your audience and see what you can come up with as an evaluation for this person. So the name of the person is Shruti Karthik, and it is a table topic, but put that aside. Just listen at it as a speech and see what kind of evaluation you could give this person. Any questions about that assignment? Any questions? Do I see any hands? No hands? No? Oh?
So
Yeah.
we should listen to the video, then we will go back.
Each individually listen on your phone or on your laptop. Any device will do, but everyone does do it individually, right? So you don't get any feedback of someone else. When we come back together, I'm going to pick on a few of you and I'll say, please evaluate this person, and I'm going to listen to you. So is everyone very nervous now?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Will I put that QR code back up then for everyone? And then I'll mute myself and the time starts now and we will be back in about 5 minutes because the speech is only 2.5 minutes. So I do not expect an evaluation of 3 minutes. You cannot evaluate 3 minutes on a speech of 2.5 minutes. I'm sorry. So your speech evaluation length is a maximum of 1 minute. Here we go. Here's the QR code again. Mhm. Okay. I think it's not up yet. That's totally not it. Okay. Window is not valid, it says. Why would that be? There we go. See you in 5 minutes, folks. Enjoy. Knock, knock, who's there? The Toastmaster. You may not have finished what you have in mind. Don't worry about it. It's one of those things. And as we so lovely do in our meetings, is there a volunteer in the audience tonight that would like to share his or her evaluation? Take us. Any there? Anyone there? Asma, order? No? Okay. No takers? Please raise your voice. Yasmin, right? Okay. So please let's warmly welcome Yasmin with her
Thank you.
evaluation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kees Broos. Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah. So by listening
Floor is
to
yours.
yeah, by listening to her speech, so I could see some good positive points. Like she was like very joyful, smiley, very engaging. She has a contagious energy. So, but however, there is like she talks very fast. I could feel that she runs, like she's running. Which could show her nervousness. I could probably feel like she wanna wrap up quickly. Her expression like were increasing, so she goes up a lot. So which like does not let me as an audience, or like I could feel also that there is no moment like for breathing. But generally saying, so she knows how to send her feelings. I could feel her genuine and authentic story. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Very, very good effort. And it's, as we've said throughout the whole workshop, evaluation is a skill that can be taught. And maybe you saw me on the flip chart putting crosses, right? So to me, if I now have to give you the feedback, what happened to you is that you package the commendations, so the positive things, lump them all a little bit in the front of your evaluation. And then you got really a truckload of recommendations. And then whew, you went to your summary. I believe that you had really good commendations, really good recommendations. So where your learning part is to mix these up a bit. So your first 5 sentences, you should only use the first 2 sentences, then pick one of your recommendations, and then jump back to your commendations. So in your evaluation, and I hope that everyone in the audience tonight did feel that a little bit as well, there was a really very positive energy from your behalf to support the speaker, but also a very almost bucket full with recommendations or things she could improve, as we say. And what you have to do is take those 2 buckets or 2 glasses and mix them together. So it becomes a nice mixture of feedback. And I liked your summary in the 1 minute. So, I think that's all what's lacking for you, to mix that up a bit, to package it a bit, rather than taka. Right? So an evaluation is in a way, again, a speech. right? So your opening of the evaluation could be your first recommendation, or even, thank you very much for sharing your speech with us tonight. I really enjoyed listening to your speech, something like that. And this is a very trotting sentence. So you have to look for your authenticity, what you could come up with, and what makes resonate.
Thank you. We can hear.
Right? Anyone else as a volunteer? Salma.
Can you see the time?
Okay. So if I have to talk to Shirky, I will say to her that good, you were very good at all the speech, especially with your great smile. You were smiling all the time. You have good vibes and good energy. However, this energy, it can be a little bit more excitement. You express your one emotion all the speech, and this emotion was excitement. Despite there was some moment of your story when you could express other emotions. That's one thing. Also, you have done a very nice thing, which is when you spell in words or letters for the important sentences. That was very good and very instructive from yourself. Another point is for your vocal variety. I recommend that you change your vocal variety during the speech, because I think that it was the same all your speech. But finally, what I can say is that you have opened your story, your speech with a real story, and that's very good, because you will be near to the audience by presenting a real story of yourself. That's all, and best luck for next time.
Okay, thank you very much, Salma. Here there was a clear example of going through the recommendations, then drifting in the commendation, and you even managed to put in a third recommendation and package it in another commendation. So that there were a lot of positive elements in that particular evaluation. One of the things you may improve your evaluation, and this counts for everyone in the audience, is that when you give a recommendation, that you link that with a sample in the speech. So, for instance, when you have the recommendation in this particular speech tonight we looked at, where she was talking fairly fast, that you take an element out of that speech and reproduce the way she was talking, as if she was almost running and trying to catch the next word, the next word, the next word, right? And then that link with the recommendation that her speech probably would improve a lot when now or then she would add a pause, like I'm doing now. And it doesn't have to be half a minute, 1 or 2 counts, and your audience will know what you mean. Right. Was in charge of the workshop tonight, the timing, because I think we only have 5 minutes left on my clock. And I would like to open the floor maybe for some questions that may burn your head and would like to table with the group tonight and could be of benefit to everyone in the audience. So is there anyone in particular with a burning question about what I have told you tonight, or anything? Asma? You're muted again, or yeah, you're muted.
She's unmuted, but I think she has some issues with the mic.
Okay.
She's
Is that,
unmuted.
is that the crackling we hear in the background?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you can type your question in the chat box, Asma. I'm happy to look at it. Anyone else there out in Morocco or anywhere in the world?
It is Uthman, I think.
Osman, yeah? Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. You've mentioned, and rightfully before, the context of culture in delivering feedbacks. And as Moroccans, we do have this issue. We are a culture where we're not used to give feedbacks. As we were kids, our parents would say, shh, don't talk, don't give feedback. And this is something that we struggle, especially for when people join our clubs in Morocco. Feedback is part of the game at our Toastmasters, is key. So how can we take them by their hands without frightening them? So like Shruti, they will not escape from their first time when they come, taking into the consideration the cultural side, which is, even when we give feedback, we say, all is good, all is fine, whatever, and then we are compromising. And in our club, we have a saying that feedback is a gift. So we're trying to as gifts, but still the cultural side, which keeps coming back. So how, from your experience, can we, as a culture which is not used to feedbacks, which sees them as threats, which not sees them as gifts at all, at least at the beginning of their Toastmasters journey, how can we take them along and make them a feedback raving fans?
Thank you for that insight in the culture of Morocco. So here I am with 21 years of experience, and I'm even learning something myself tonight. And this is the beauty about Toastmasters. I think the most essential part of this whole thing will come back to what the workshop opening started with, and that was the why. Try to explain why are we doing the evaluations. Make that clear, maybe with one or two examples, but really, rather than forcing them into an evaluation, repeat, maybe you can come up with 4 or 5 different things of the why for evaluation, and for a month, each meeting, pick up one element, right? So just, you have to package it, otherwise you will chase the people out of the building. The second thing that I would say, and this is applicable to all clubs, what we did in New Zealand in the meeting was that we also evaluated the table topics speakers. And this is why I took a table topic speech tonight, to mention this to you if you wouldn't have come up with the question. Because a table topic is a very short speech. So to start with evaluation, tell the evaluator of the table topics to look for one thing that he or she really likes in the table topic, and one thing that she or he feels the speaker could improve. So the feedback of this particular evaluator will only be a maximum of 30 seconds. However, that may already give pressure on the evaluator. So what you do in table topic session, you usually have 6, 8 speakers. You've got quite a few speakers. So there is room for 2 novice evaluators. And the first evaluator do the first speaker, the second evaluator the second speaker, the first evaluator the third speaker, and while the second speaker is speaking, he or she can take some notes without feeling pushed or pressurized. And this is a brilliant, and I have not seen it very much in the world, but in New Zealand we did it this way. It was a very nice way of getting people used to give feedback, right? And it doesn't go with this tool, with this scheme. It starts with the basic of finding something that is to the point in the speech and something he or she feels could be better. And the more meetings they attend, the more they will come up with vocabulary. So thank you for that question. Good question. By way of time, maybe one final question before we wrap up. If there are any other questions, obviously. Between recommendation. Okay, I got your note, Asma. It's very simple. Commendation means something that you really like, that you really enjoy in the speech, right? So that is a commendation. A recommendation is something you feel could be improved, could be better in the speech. So hopefully that explains the difference between the two. And please go through these links I'll put in the slides if you have time. Also, there are YouTube's sessions on evaluation, but for me, it doesn't matter if you have a whole library with material about it. The most important thing is find your authenticity. Who is it that you are when you give feedback? Go back to your circle of friends, go back to your family, whatever, the closest people to you. How do you give them feedback? And I do know with the culture in Morocco that is maybe a big no-no, but among friends and the younger generation, I'm sure there's a lot of yeah. So that would do the job. I can talk till tomorrow morning, as you may have noticed. I won't do so. I totally enjoyed the occasion to be part of your evening, to give you some personal experience with regard to evaluation. And I do hope, even if you pick up one thing out of the whole session, that it makes you grow as an evaluator. And with that back, I think to Samir, or?
Yes, Mr. Kees, please give a big applause to our dear Kees Broos for his generosity in the amazing way with which he animated this session. I learned so many things today with you, especially starting always with why, then how, then what, and also the hail points, honesty, authenticity, integrity, and always finish our evaluations with love, So, and one of the powerful sentences that you have pronounced is that it takes a good time. It takes time to become a good Toastmaster. So that's why we are here, to train ourselves to be a good speakers and good evaluators. So thank you so much for this generosity. And before leaving, please, can you just activate your cameras, because we want to take a good picture to immortalize this memorable sharing moments. Please, can you activate all your cameras, please? Sukaina, Wahib, Iman, Sarah, Asma, We want to see your smiles here. So 1, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Kees, for your generosity. Thank you again. Wish you.
Thank you all.
Happy end.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Asma,